Good morning and welcome to Calder Park Raceway for a very chilly April morning here in Melbourne. We haven't seen each other for a very long time and I wouldn't know really how to introduce this video after a good 3 years or more away from YouTube, but I'm back. My name is Pat, this is 2PJZ and it's been a very long time since I've said that. So I want to welcome you guys back to the channel and welcome if you're new. We have a lot of explaining to do about where I've been, what I've been up to, what we're going to do next on this channel. We don't really have time for that right now. Right now, we're here at the Collecting Cars meet here at Calder Park, and I want to walk around and show you some of the cars that are here today. All right, since we've last seen each other, I've gone through a number of different cars. Right now, I'm driving this, which is a 1996 BMW 323i E36 in Hellrot Red. It's gone through a lot, this car. It was in a chicken coop for a very long time, covered in pigeon crap. It's been saved. The front end's been resprayed, all the bushes underneath have been done, all the gaskets in the engine have been done. It's got a new radiator, a bunch of new engine parts. It's been pretty much entirely refreshed, this car. It's definitely not my fastest, most aggressive or quickest car I've ever owned, but it has served me pretty well. I drove it over here from Adelaide when we moved to Melbourne. It's had a few little mishaps in between now and then. As I mentioned, the radiator, the aircon went, so I had to fix a few things, but you know, the car's 20 odd, nearly 30 years old really now, so we'll show you around it really quickly. There's not really many body mods on this car, so the only mods really externally that you can see are the Style 66 wheels. So these are 17 inch, 17 by 8 on the front, 17 by 9s on the back, and these are off an E39 M Sport. Besides that, the car's pretty much stock. I've got a couple bits to go on, like an M3 front bumper and some side skirts, but for now we're keeping it pretty original. It's just a daily driver. It's the only car I have at the moment. As you would know if you follow my Instagram and have seen the channel before, we go through a lot of cars. Bought this in August last year, so I've had it quite a while for my standards now. I would love a change. I would love something a bit newer. It's all I can afford really, to be honest, right now. So there's one very special car here today. It's a car that actually was the last featured car on this channel about 3 years ago or so. So it's very funny that the moment I actually make a comeback and decide to come out and film, we see this car. It's not my Evo because that ended up in a wall written off. It's not my GTR because that's still in Adelaide. But what did I have in between then? It's the last car that I featured on this channel and is right here, my old Mazda RX-7. So this is a very special moment for me. I last saw this car about 3.5 years ago when I sold it to its now owner, Stephen. It's a car that I have missed for a really long time. It was between my Evo Tommy Mackinnon edition and my R32 GTR. I only had it for about 2 or 3 months. It still is probably the biggest regret that I have in my buying and selling journey. As you know, I've owned between 20 to 25 cars and motorbikes now, and I'm only about 25 years old, so it's nearly one or more for every year that I've been on this planet. And out of all of them, out of all the cars and bikes that I've had, this is definitely one that I missed the most. So it's very rare that you get to bump into your old cars, especially if they go interstate, like the case is for me here. But I've been keeping in regular contact with Stephen, and he hasn't really changed a whole lot with it at all. He's put the RS wheels on it, so these came on the Type RS. RX-7, this model is a RBS, so it was essentially the base model was the RB, then the S was an extra little bit of spice on top of the base model, but it's still very much a base model RX-7. In terms of its engine mods, it hasn't really changed much, so it's still probably got the Auto XE carbon intake. The engine was rebuilt at 80,000 kilometers. I'm not sure how many it has now, but I know it does get used, which is really good. It gets taken out and about to all sorts of different events. Even just seeing it and spending some time with it again in person is absolutely hilarious. I've thought about this car at least every week now for 3 years since I sold it, just wanting to see it, wanting to have the opportunity to buy it back one day. I know Stephen is very in love with the car. He won't sell it back to me. I've already tried, so I know you'll probably suggest that. Just something I can admire for now. Can't own this again, but when I do get another one, I definitely do want to get another red one or a yellow one, but we all know the yellow ones come with a lot of yellow tax on them. Yeah, one thing I love about it is, and you probably can't see much on the interior, but still has the R-Magic shift knob and the Apexi Power FC, which is very OG. You can barely see it through the window there, but it's just so cool to see it in the flesh again. It's really cool. I would totally buy it back in a heartbeat if I could. It's just like, I mean, look at it. I don't think there's a prettier car to come out of this era. Everyone knows that I love R34 GTRs. R34 GTRs are my all-time dream car, favourite car. Obviously I think they're really cool, but in terms of just pure beauty and elegance, the RX-7 takes the cake. You know, I put Japan on the map really in the 90s and early 2000s for performance cars and sports cars, and producing cars that not only just performed well, but just looked as amazing as some European cars, or if not better than European cars that were being put out at the same time. So it's a very special car for a lot of people, including myself. I do miss it a lot. I know a lot of people probably in the comments going, oh, why'd you sell it? Why'd you sell it? Why'd you get rid of it? Because and you didn't see this on the channel because I've been gone for 3 years, but basically a couple months after I filmed that last video installing the strut braces, which you can probably see playing across the screen now, I sold the car because I saw where the market was going. We were mid-pandemic with COVID. GTRs were sort of still going up because people weren't allowed to travel. And I just saw it as my opportunity to actually take that step and buy what was my ultimate dream car besides the 34 was the 32. Because I could see where the prices were going. I had held on to this. I probably would have kept it and would have kept it even when I was trying to buy a house, which is what I eventually did after I sold my GTR. But we've got a lot more time to talk about that, all my cars, all my bikes, what I did in my house, where I've been in my career, where I've been and why I'm coming back to YouTube. Between the time that it took for me to film my introduction and spend all this time looking at my RX-7 and then looking at a couple cars over that way, not actually filming anything, a lot of cars have now taken off. So there's a big bunch of cars over here that I was planning to film that have sadly all taken off. But we do still have some Porsches here behind me. If you follow my Instagram, you would know that I'm a massive 996 guy. I think they're I wouldn't say they're slept on. A lot of people know about them. Everyone knows that 996s exist, but a lot of people still don't really like them that much because of the funky headlights. You can see it's a bit of an egg yolk shape there compared to the 997 next to it, which is that classic round Porsche style. I really like these cars. I would love one. I think a 996 Turbo would be a really, really nice car to daily drive. This one is a really cool example. I'm not exactly sure what this dark blue color is called. It's on some really nice wheels, 3-piece. Fortunately, it is an automatic, but that's right next to a 930 Turbo Targa. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the 930 Turbo, but you can also chuck the roof down. And if it's got an exhaust on it like it looks like it does, I imagine that would make some pretty cool noises. That's next to these two white. So you've got a white 993 and then a nice original Survivor. See the faded drawn on duct tape Porsche badge there. It's very funny, 964. So it's very cool seeing these old Porsches out and about. Plenty of them here in Melbourne. Since moving here, I have seen a lot of old Porsches out and about. It's one of the more common cars you'll see at Cars and Coffee events is these older style 911s, which is awesome, really cool to see considering the values of these now have skyrocketed. So there are a number of cars that I wanted to show you today, but between filming the introduction to the video and then going and checking out my old RX-7 and doing a bit of a cycle lap to actually have a look and see what was here and what was worth showing you guys, a lot of cars have left. Seems a lot of people came. It was a really early start. They looked around very briefly and then took off. But one thing that I do really want to show you, this car here is a BMW E34 540i LE, LE standing for limited edition. So this car here is one of 70 that was delivered to Australia. We didn't get the E34 M5 over here, so this was the closest thing that we could get. It's essentially an M5 without the M5 badge in a way. So the owner of this one's got this really cool brochure where it's got the spec sheet on it. So you've got a 6-speed manual, a lot of really cool M-Tech parts, beautiful looking car. I think this example here is finished in a techno violet colour. It's not really a colour that you'd see very, very often. It's on Tasmanian plates. In the sunlight, it looks absolutely fantastic. And then of course on the M parallel wheels that a lot of BMW guys like myself go absolutely nuts over. You see in the sun here particularly how that colour looks absolutely stunning. This beautiful 930 turbo. I don't know how well that picks up on camera, but the color's sort of like this the white, but it's got this almost yellowy lime tinge to it. So I've never seen that color in person before. Spotted something that is pretty impossible to miss, and that is right in front of me here, none other than a Lamborghini Aventador SV. SV standing for Super Veloce. You know, I'm not a big supercar guy, but something about these cars is very, very, very special. I actually just finished doing the Gran Turismo 7 license test in this thing, so I've got a recent experience with the SV in video game form. Obviously never driven one in person. You come around the back and you get to see just what this car has to offer. It's, I think, one of the most gorgeous Lamborghinis ever made. Unmistakable that it's the SV with the big logo. A naturally aspirated V12 hiding under that engine cover, which I imagine would be very, very difficult to see out of. And then inside, it's one of the most awesome interiors. It's hard to believe that these cars came out in 2014, something like that. I think maybe 2012. As I said, not an expert in that topic of Lamborghinis, but it's crazy. They've aged so well. They still look brand new today, I think, just as, you know, the McLaren P1 is another car that I think has aged really beautifully. With the cars that are still here, we just take a little walk and I'll see what we can point out as we're coming back down this way. Nardo Grey, Audi RS3, definitely consider one of those for a daily. I actually drove the new Honda Type R recently, which I thought was really nice, Civic Type R.
Just freezing my arse off.
But one thing I did want to do very quickly is introduce another new. So Erin and I have been together now for about a year. So not as long as the 3 years that I've been absent from this channel. But in that time, Erin's come to lots of car stuff with me and didn't really know anything about cars to begin with, but now knows a little bit, which is really, really cool. So one thing I did want to point out to you was cars that I really want, that I'm looking to get approval on. Exhibit A, an Audi RS6. So what do you think of this black RS6 over here?
I like black cars. I like the silver trim. It's not a wagon, is it? I don't like wagon. Oh, no. Pat, no. Nah, vetoing the wagon.
Erin's not really into wagons, sadly. We'll keep working on the RS6 because it is a very cool car. Twin turbo V8. Not massive.
She's a bit chonk. She's like not as sporty as maybe I'd like.
I don't know, we'll see. We'll work on this one a little bit. On the racetrack now, it's very, very steep. Sort of this NASCAR style round track that banks up as you come around each of the corners. We have come up here to see this. Very rare these days to see one NSX out in the wild, but to have a group of 6 of them all parked up together at the same time is Becky, I think. You might have seen this particular example if you are active in the social media space. All of these NSXs here are different colours, some of them are stock, some of them are modded, but they're all really unique examples of what was really Japan's first supercar. So you've got this one here, which is on these really nice raised gram lights, beautiful red Recaro seats. You've got the carbon spoiler as well on the back. And this track is really steep. I don't know if you can, I'm trying to hold the camera straight so you can see, look at the angle that these cars are on. And then this beautiful dark green over tan interior, automatic transmission, so real gentleman cruiser spec. This is a Acura as opposed to a Honda. You can see the different markings there on the wheels and the emblem here on the bonnet. Then you've got this nice silver one here. Doesn't look like too much has been done to that one either. And then a black one, another red one on some T37s. This one looks like it's got an aftermarket body kit, being very early 2000s, sort of period correct. And then back up to the blue where we started. And I love that sticker on the back. A lot of the time these NSXs can be confused with Ferraris. It's a bit of a meme, a bit of a joke around the car community. Prices for these, again, like any old Japanese car now, quite extreme. I think for one of these in Australia, for a manual NSX in good condition, you're probably looking at, I think, 150 to 200 grand probably closer to the 200 grand mark for a nice example. For a probably less clean example, maybe an automatic one, you might be looking at a bit less, but certainly the manual configuration is obviously what people want. NA1s and NA2s, the two different variations of them. I think the facelifts, I haven't seen one for sale for a long time. I've seen lots of NA1s for sale, which are, these ones are all NA1s, but I would absolutely love to be able to go for a spin in one of these. These are very, very awesome cars. I got caught up talking with a few people, obviously new here still, so trying to make my way around the place and meet people, and obviously didn't want to shove the camera in too many different people's faces that I just met. So there were a few cars that came and went that I did miss. As I did mention before, there's a lot of explaining to do about where I've been. I do want to catch you guys up on what I'm planning to do with the channel, and I just really want to get back into it. I've really missed it. I've missed making content. I love walking around with the camera and sharing what I'm up to and showing you guys what a little bit of Melbourne has to offer if you're not from here, if you didn't actually make it out this morning. Obviously a lot of cars did leave, so I wasn't able to show you everything. I think it's a good chance to end it here. I do want to sit down and actually have a big think about what I want to say to you guys in terms of where we're going next. But for now, and I haven't said this for a very long time, my name's Pat. You've been watching 2PJZ. Please like and subscribe. Send me some comments about what you'd like to see on the channel with this new return. I've obviously got 3 years worth of life experience now behind me, so I've got a lot of ideas, but I do want to hear from you guys about what you would like to see. So leave it in the box down below. Follow my social media, particularly my Instagram is what I use a lot, and we will talk very, very soon.